that guidance and determine what direction legally we can go from there.
Does that law not apply uniformly to, I mean, do the laws that pertain to electric utility formation not apply uniformly?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, that's all right.
There are some variations in the law that do apply uniquely to cities of first class, cities of second class, cities with populations of, over 100,000, things like that. And those are the typical things when you're evaluating whether the exercise of home rule is appropriate or not, that tend to reflect that the statute is non-uniform in nature, which would allow you to exempt yourself out from provisions of that statute, from the non-uniform provisions of the statute.
But that will require a charter ordinance to do
That's
so.
correct.
And right now, we have an ordinance that is not a charter ordinance.
That's correct.
It's a regular ordinance, and as such, we are not in compliance.
Right, and when you do it by charter ordinance, you also have to expressly exempt yourself from the provision of state law, which is currently applicable to you, and that also has not been done.
So it doesn't sound like a likely winnable argument, does it, or does it not?
You mean if we explored?
Is home rule a viable option?
No, I think it may well be. Yeah, but to put a point on the councilman's point issue, currently it is not drafted appropriately for the exercise of home rule because it's not done by charter ordinance. We have not exempted ourselves of the statutory provisions which appear to be uniformly applicable on their face. So absent that being done, then the exercise of home rule has not been appropriately exercised.
So are you suggesting we abolish, undo the statute as it is? I mean,
I'm not.
The ordinance as it is, and then work on a new one, on a charter ordinance?
I don't believe that's what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying. My point is, I don't develop policy. It's the council's province to develop policy. I can take that policy, evaluate that policy guidance, evaluate the legal options that are available, and pursue those.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just one final point, and why I brought the motion to the table, or the motion to the table, is I'm certainly not saying in any way that the answer isn't with the ordinance as proposed. Now, I think there could be changes that we need to make, but I think those changes need to be made in teamwork with the EUB as it stands right now. I can't say how many years, but there has to have been at least 20 years of experience with Gardner Energy on that board, and we have yet to sit in that room with those individuals with this ordinance and say, how do you foresee this affecting the citizens of Gardner and the way their electric utilities are presented to them? That's why I think we're being short-sighted. That's why I'm asking for more time to have that exact conversation and look at each section of the list, look at each item, and say, how do you foresee that to be? What are we missing? Because I've not lived a day in the world of the EUB, but they actually have for years and years and years, and they might have some insight that we haven't been able to consider yet because we haven't had that conversation. That's the point of where I'm trying to table the motion for further discussion. Not out of disagreement with anything that's actually in the ordinance right now. It's more so to make sure that it's fully vetted, because this is a radical change, and for us to try to do that in 2 weeks, what took, I'm not sure, almost a year to build, I just don't think we're acting very, efficient is not the right way to do it. We're just not being...
responsible.
Thank you very much. That's the way I think it needs to be done. So that's why I led back to the table today.
I would say that as somebody that's studied what the Electric Utility Board has done and have been very complimentary of what they have done for years, working as they were under an ordinance that was flawed when it was crafted, having studied the issue with a panel of citizens, many of whom were smarter than I am, and we suggested a Board of Public Utility a year ago March. Now, some of the things that have come to light recently make me concerned about how that would look and how that would function, and I'm not sure that we're going to get there, but maybe the conversation should be allowed for, to see if we can get there. However, I think that the most important thing to me and to the people that I've talked to for several years now is they want people that understand the issues, not just of the electric utility, but of all of our utilities that we're charging citizens for on a monthly basis. If I had a vote here, and I do not, I would say that a advisory committee, or an advisory commission or an advisory board, if they are given the information that they need to study and make solid, reasonable, responsible recommendations, I think that the city council would put aside those recommendations at their own peril, and that an advisory commission could be a very effective form of government. Now, I don't know that that means this particular iteration, this particular ordinance number 2438. I don't know that this is it. And I don't know if going to a full-time BPU is it either. What I can tell you is that if we don't have a separate group from the city looking at these issues, studying them hard, making tough recommendations, then we're doing a disservice to our ratepayers.
Don't we have that interaction right now? We have a director of public works that ultimately makes the recommendations on all the other utilities. Do you find that process flawed?
I don't find that and you like to hold me to stuff that I campaign on, so I'll tell you.
Apparently haven't been very effective yet, but go ahead.
I've long maintained that we want to get more citizens involved. I've long maintained that we've got people that are willing to participate, and I think that's been borne out over the 6 months since the election. We've had lots of people that have volunteered for a variety of different causes. We've got smart, well-educated, thoughtful, enthusiastic people that want to help out. And I think that if we're having a utility advisory board, I don't think that Brian's going to have a harder time overseeing that than Mike has overseeing the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission has operated in this city for quite some time. There's members that have been on the Planning Commission at the dais and in the audience as well. And Vern, were you ever on the Planning Commission? No, sir. No? Okay. I wasn't sure. That's my 2 cents. I think that if we're just changing an ordinance for the electric utility, and if the council decides to change the ordinance to bring the electric utility into compliance, well, okay, but my intention when I ran in 2011 and my intention when I ran in 2013 was to getting all the utilities working together and running smart, and that's what I still intend to do, even if this is what's adopted.
If we need to
Anybody
have
else have any questions or comments?
further discussion, I'm interested in further discussion and not moving on an ordinance right away.
I have just my 2 cents. I was surprised and impressed by how fast we got this ordinance reworked. Usually it seems like it takes a lot longer. I read it and I was like, it seemed to address all of our issues that we had consensus about. However, it does seem like the fastness, I mean, it was fast, but I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I don't know if we should table it or if we should go ahead and vote on it, because it is everything we talked about last meeting. And I think those things are still a valid concern. And then our new attorney said that our current